we're off on a trip of a lifetime to Albania and Uzbekistan and lots of places that aren't in between. This is a camel. Actually, a caravan of camels, which is the collective name for a group of camels. And they happen to be posing in front of the Treasury building in Petra, one of the world's new 7 wonders of the world. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you on the journey of how we got there, because it's an awful lot of interesting stuff along the way, as there usually are on epic adventures. We flew from Tel Aviv to Eilat on the Gulf of Aqaba, which is part of the Red Sea, on Arkia Airlines. They were a no-nonsense kind of airline. You get on, you get off, no frills, no mucking around, you just get from point A to point B. Unexpectedly, our tour company had given us an upgrade. Don't know why, don't really care why. It was just heaven for us travellers that usually travel budget. I could get used to this. The wonderful thing about Israel is that when you buy a Coke, it comes with its own little hat. Whip off the hat, and you're into the real stuff. Eilat, the home of painted fish. They're everywhere. Woo-hoo. That, my friends, is the New Zealand flag. Okay, so Eilat is a tax-free haven right down at the bottom of the southern pointy bit of Israel. It is nestled in between Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia is just down the line a little bit too. The food just keeps coming. According to Wikipedia, the population is only 50,000, but I reckon the tourists could well double or even triple that number in peak tourist season. The number of huge hotels that line the foreshore and the huge number of people that walk the promenade, particularly in the cool of the evening, indicate this is a tourist town. Other than taking advantage of the glorious weather and resorts, the main reason for a lot of people to visit this area is to pop over the border to Jordan to see Petra, which is one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Our Israeli tour company has arranged a Jordanian tour company to take us the 135 kilometres and provide us with a guide. The border crossing is fine, but incredibly expensive in my budget-conscious opinion, and the handover from Tour Company A to Tour Company B is seamless. Unfortunately, our bus breaks down about halfway through the 2-hour trip, so a replacement one is hurriedly arranged for us, which puts us behind around 30 to 40 minutes. Jordan. Eventually, we pull up to the bus park, and based on the number of tour buses lined up, many of the 1 million tourists that visit the site every year are here today. The walk down to the start of the famous canyon is hot and dusty. Horse options are available, but I'm not a very horsey person. The canyon is spectacular. No other words to describe it. In fact, it is worth the visit just to see the canyon. police. So we've got some feet here, but unfortunately the rest of him has been, or her, has been eroded over time. Potentially some kind of aqueduct. And a rubbish bin. Aqueducts and rubbish bins. When you actually see your first glimpse of this infamous building, and it gradually reveals more of itself as you exit the tight confines of the canyon, you are left breathless. First of all, there's the commotion, the hundreds of people, the camels, the kids touting for business, but most of all, the glorious, iconic wonder that is before you. This is a building that wasn't built, but rather carved out of rock, and deservedly is one of the new 7 wonders of the world. So you can actually see bullet holes in the walls. The bullet holes were from people who had mistakenly thought that there was treasure buried inside the treasury, but there wasn't. The Treasury building is the most famous building in the complex, but it is not the only one. It's in the middle of nowhere, they still take Visa. This was just one building in a thriving city. Continuing the track downwards, it again opens up into a theatre and other cave dwellings that must have been impressive in their heyday. So that theatre is actually carved into rock. It hasn't been built on top of rock, it's been carved into rock. MasterCard, Wi-Fi and Visa. It's like the Holy Trinity. And the coffee shop. So this would have been somebody's house back in the day. Cool artwork on the roof. Very cool. That donkey sounded a bit ill. This guy has a 2-story. Must have been pretty rich. And this is where the donkeys are kept by the look of it. Here we have an ancient kitchen sink. Very useful in these parts. So there's the theatre and lots of little houses built into the rock, just above it, below it, and all around it really. And some ancient solar panels as well. Good to see. The experts reckon there were about 20,000 people that lived here at its height of popularity, given its strategic significance on the Silk Road stretching between Asia and Europe. It was largely forgotten to the outside world until 1812, when it was rediscovered, but its fame only really took off when it was included in an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade movie. Of course, that was an over-dramatisation, but once the secret was out, it was uncontrollable. People, just like me, came flocking. tour buses, tour-friendly restaurants, souvenir shops, hawkers of all kind. Today, however, with the bus breakdown and the extreme heat which is taking a toll on us Kiwis, we cannot hope to see all of the complex, but we are satisfied we've seen enough. We wander back up to the tour bus and do the whole trip back to Eilat and then Tel Aviv, all in reverse. The trip to Petra is well worth it, but in hindsight I should have set aside more time in both Eilat and Petra, and maybe even the Wadi Rim overnight stay. 36 hours just wasn't enough. Thanks, Petra. Please like and subscribe.